Hey everyone, ready to dive in? Buckle up because this deep dive is going to be a little different.
Different, good, right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
This time, we're ditching the whole stack of research papers thing
See you later, bibliography.
and focusing on just one single blog post.
One.
One. And get this, it's about making contact with extraterrestrials.
Okay, now we're talking my language. But
Yeah.
hold on, what kind of contact? Are we talking about, like, building a giant beacon or something?
Even weirder than that. Think more along the lines of, like, mind-to-mind contact inside your head.
Whoa, really? Okay, you've got my attention.
Yeah, it's wild, right? The blog post is called Co-Creating an Internal World for ET Contact. Definitely not your average Tuesday read.
Catchy title. Where'd you even find this gem?
Oh, just down one of those internet rabbit holes. It's on a website called ET&I. Eclectic doesn't even begin to cover it.
E.T.&I. Sounds intriguing already.
Oh, it gets better. The guy behind it all, Bright Garlick, he calls himself an eclectic guy in his bio.
An eclectic guy, huh? That could mean anything.
Exactly. But that's kind of the beauty of this deep dive, We're going to hear a perspective you definitely don't find every day.
All right, I'm sold. So, how does this bright garlic suggest we go about making contact with ETs? Telepathy, astral projection.
Well, get ready for this. He calls it building an internal contact world, an ICW for short.
And ICW. Okay, I'm going to need a little more on that. What exactly are we building here?
So essentially, Garlick is saying we can use things like guided visualization, meditation, that kind of thing, to make a space in our minds.
Hold up, we're actually building a world in our minds, like a whole world.
Yep, specifically designed for talking to ETs.
Talk about a DIY project, but seriously, is that even possible?
I know, right? It sounds kind of out there, even for me, and I'm all about exploring the unknown. But there's a part of me, and maybe this is the therapist in me, that's really curious about the psychology of it all. Like, is there anything that actually backs up this idea of building worlds in our minds?
Absolutely. You might think building an ICW is something totally new, but it actually lines up with some pretty well-established psychological ideas.
Okay, like what?
Well, Garlick actually mentions the work of Dr. Ainsley Mears,
Mears. Rings a bell. Refresh my memory.
Australian psychiatrist known for these deep relaxation techniques he developed for dealing with things like anxiety and stress.
Oh, right, yeah. I actually use some of his techniques with my clients sometimes.
Exactly. So Garlick uses those techniques as a starting point for building this ICW, this internal world.
Okay, so that's the relaxation part. But what about the whole building a world in your mind thing? Isn't that basically just daydreaming?
You know, that's a really good point, and it gets at something that's been fascinating people for centuries, the power of the imagination and the crazy ways our subconscious minds like to talk to us, like with dreams.
Your dreams, yeah. All those weird landscapes and characters, what's up with those?
Exactly. Dreams are like this whole symbolic language that our subconscious uses. Therapists have been analyzing them for years to try to understand what's going on beneath the surface.
So you're saying Garlic is taking that idea of dreams being symbolic and saying, hey, maybe we can use that to connect with ETs.
That's a great way to put it. Instead of just analyzing those internal worlds, he's saying, let's build them intentionally and see who shows up.
Who shows up? Okay, things just got really interesting. So how do we do it? How do we actually build one of these ICWs?
Well, according to Garlick, it's all about taking it step by step. And the first step, like we were talking about, is achieving that deep state of relaxation.
And that's where Dr. Mears and his techniques come in.
Right. He actually recommends using those techniques to relax your body consciously, bit by bit, to really quiet the mind and get into that receptive state.
It's like we're creating this calm, quiet space in our minds to make room for something new to come in.
Exactly. And to help with that transition, Garlick suggests creating what he calls a doorway.
Right, like a symbolic entry point into this internal world, right? Almost like stepping through the wardrobe into Narnia. Except instead of a magical land, you're entering this space designed for ET contact. Man, he's got a flair for imagery.
He does. And he's a big believer in using your senses to make this world as real as possible. He's not just talking about picturing a flat image in your mind. He wants you to engage all of your senses.
Okay, so like what do you see? What do you smell? What does the air feel like on your skin?
Exactly. He says the more real you can make it using your senses, the more believable it will be to your subconscious.
And then We build a landing pad for our new ET friends.
Garlic doesn't actually phrase it like
I'm
that.
just messing with you. But seriously, we don't just hang out in this custom-built world by ourselves, right?
Right. Definitely not. That's when things get really wild because he actually encourages us to invite what he calls ET guides into this space.
ET guides, like some kind of intergalactic welcome committee. Okay, I am officially intrigued. Tell me more.
So it's not just about imagining any random alien popping in for tea, though. Garlic really emphasizes their role as collaborators in shaping the entire experience, which is one of the things that makes this whole thing different from, say, lucid dreaming.
Because in lucid dreaming, you're basically in control of the whole thing.
Right. But with this, he's saying we need to be willing to give up a little bit of control and let the experience unfold in its own way through this interaction with the ET guides.
Wow, okay. That's a whole other level of trust, letting go of control like that. So we've built this world, our new ET buddies are here. Then what? So we're relaxed, we've walked through our doorway, we're hanging out in our personalized world with some new ET friends.
Sounds like my kind of Friday night.
Right. So what happens next? What do we even talk about? Are we asking about faster than light travel? The secrets of the universe.
For someone who talks about interdimensional beings, Garlic is surprisingly down to earth in his approach. He really emphasizes respect, approaching this whole thing as a collaboration rather than like an interrogation.
Okay, so more like an intergalactic coffee date and less like a cosmic press conference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He talks about asking open-ended questions, being genuinely curious about their perspective, he even talks about asking for their guidance on personal stuff.
Wait, like there's some kind of intergalactic life coach?
Hey, don't knock it till you try it, right?
True, true. I mean, if you're going to create a whole world in your mind to talk to someone, they might as well give you some good advice while they're there.
Right. But in all seriousness, I think the key takeaway here is that, like with anything else in life, having clear intentions is important. And Garlic really stresses that, knowing why you're seeking contact. What are you hoping to get out of it? What questions are most important to you?
It's like setting the GPS for your subconscious, making sure you're heading in the right direction.
I like that. And this whole idea of actively creating this internal world, inviting contact, it makes me think about the role of belief in all of this. Like, do you have to be a die-hard ET believer for this to work? Or can you approach it with, a healthy dose of skepticism?
That's a great question. What does Garlic say about that?
He actually encourages a healthy amount of skepticism. He's very clear that you're always in control during these experiences. Like, nothing can actually hurt you because you're the one creating it all.
So even if someone isn't totally sold on the idea of ETs, this could still be a valuable way to learn more about themselves.
Exactly. Because even if we think about those ET guides as just projections of our own subconscious, which is totally valid, the insights and perspectives they offer can still be super powerful. It's like this unique way of tapping into your own inner wisdom.
That is fascinating. It's like holding up a mirror to your soul, but instead of your reflection staring back, it's an alien giving you life advice.
I mean, that's one way to put it. But I think you're getting at something really important, which is that this isn't just about what's happening in your head. Garlic wants us to find ways to connect these experiences to our everyday lives.
Right. It can't all be internal. So is he suggesting we start scanning the skies for UFOs or something?
Not exactly. He actually recommends asking your ET guides for a sign, like something specific in your everyday life that connects back to what you experienced in your internal world.
Okay, so not just a sudden craving for space ice cream then.
Well, he encourages something a bit more concrete than that, something you can't just brush off as a coincidence. He wants you to be able to draw a direct line between what happened internally and what you experienced externally.
So it's like this back and forth dialogue between your inner world and the outer world, each one informing the other.
Exactly, and I think that's what makes his whole approach so interesting. It's not just about retreating into our minds and disconnecting from reality. It's about using our minds to explore reality in a new way and to see what other possibilities might exist beyond our normal perception.
It definitely makes you wonder if we've been going about this whole ET contact thing wrong this whole time. I gotta say, this whole deep dive has really got me thinking. Co-creating with ETs in an internal world, that's definitely a new one.
It's pretty wild, right? But it really makes you think about how much we crave connection. We're always looking for answers, wondering if we're alone in the universe. And maybe, just maybe, those answers aren't out there in space, but inside ourselves.
It really makes you wonder, right? What if this whole time we've been looking for ETs in the wrong place? What if it's not about building bigger telescopes, but about looking inward, exploring the uncharted territories of our own minds?
Whoa, now you're blowing my mind. I love that. So Garlic might be onto something with this whole internal contact world idea.
Right. It's like he's saying, hey, maybe ET contact isn't about spaceships and lasers.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about consciousness and like tapping into some deeper level of reality.
And even if we don't find little green men hanging out in our subconscious, the journey itself could still be incredibly valuable.
Totally. It's like that saying, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, or something like that.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe we'll discover something amazing about ourselves along the way.
Maybe we'll discover we had the answers inside us all along. Okay, before we get too existential, let's bring it back down to earth for our listener.
Right, right. We've covered a lot of ground today.
So if you're as intrigued by this whole internal contact world thing as we are, and you're ready to build your own cosmic meditation room, you're in luck. We'll be sure to link Garlick's blog post in the show notes.
He even has an audio guide to help you build your own ICW.
Your own personal ET embassy, right in your mind.
I like that. But as you're exploring, and maybe even having your own close encounters of the internal kind, I want you to really sit with this question. What if this is about more than just ETs? What if it's about recognizing some deeper connection between all living things?
Now, that is a question for the ages, and a perfect place to wrap up this deep dive. We want to hear from you. Have you ever tried building an internal contact world? Have you made contact with anyone interesting in there? Let us know.
We might just have to do a follow-up episode on this.
You know we love a good part two. Until next time, keep those minds open and those imaginations running wild. See you in the cosmos.